What would you do if the one person you trusted the most was quietly planning to ruin you? What if your own husband, the same man who once held you close and whispered your name like it meant the world, was secretly moving your money, faking signatures, and setting up your financial collapse while still kissing you goodnight? This isn't just a story of a broken heart. It's a story of a woman who refused to break. It's about her calm, revenge, smart thinking, and quiet power. Meet Nora Campbell, a sharp and self-made businesswoman. One night, while half asleep, she hears her husband Miles talking in a hushed voice. Something inside her changes. Her small doubt becomes a horrible truth. He's planning to leave her. But not just that. He wants to take everything she worked. For why is he teaming up with someone named Viktor Alenko? What plans are already happening behind her back? And how do you fight back when the betrayal isn't just emotional but legal and financial too? This isn't just another cheating story. It's about being smart, staying strong, and turning the game around. If you enjoy true stories of betrayal, strength, and bold comebacks, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. What comes next will leave you speechless. Let's dive in. There was a time when Miles used to say my name like it was his favorite song. Nora, he'd whisper softly into my hair as we lay side by side in the quiet of our apartment, the glow of the city painting soft shadows on our bedroom walls. He touched me like I was made of glass, and I believed he meant every word. But that night, something was different. His voice didn't sound loving. It was sharp, cold like a blade slicing through the dark dot. It was nearly 2 a.m. when I realized the bed beside me was empty. The sheets on his side were smooth and touched. I reached over without thinking, expecting the warmth of his skin. But there was only space. Maybe he was getting a glass of water or using the bathroom, I thought. He sometimes did that when he couldn't sleep. But something deep in me, a gut feeling, maybe just experience, kept me wide awake. I pushed the covers off and slid into the slippers by the bed. I grabbed Miles' hoodie from the foot of the bed and tiptoed out into the hallway. A light glowed under his home office door. Then I heard him. His voice was low and steady. I crept closer, staying just outside the light, my fingers brushing the sick. Wall 2, stay balanced. She doesn't know anything, he said calmly. It's already in motion. Then silence. A second voice answered a man's, but too quiet to hear clearly. I didn't need to understand. My heart was racing. Miles was making plans. About me? I stepped back slowly, making no sound, like a shadow slipping away. My hands were shaking, my chest felt tight. I returned to bed, pretending to sleep just in time to hear his footsteps. I shut my eyes and evened my breathing. The bed dipped as he climbed in. He let out a long, steady breath, like he had nothing to hide. But I knew better, and for the first time in 10 years of marriage, I didn't feel safe next to him. The next morning, Miles acted like everything was normal. He made breakfast, perfect eggs, toast, and avocado arranged like a little art piece. It would have been sweet if I didn't already know something ugly was hiding behind that smile. "Did you sleep okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, stirring my coffee. "You?" he nodded. Woke up around 2. Couldn't turn my brain off. I watched him from behind my cup. He was calm to calm. But when I asked, "Were you on the phone last night?" I saw it just for a second, a small twitch. He replied, sipping juice. "Don't think so. Why?" "Were you talking to someone?" I asked. He shook his head without missing a beat. "Just checking emails." I forced a smile. Right? Makes sense? But inside, my thoughts were spinning like a storm. What was already happening behind my back? What had I missed? And why did it feel like my life was quietly falling apart? That evening, I sat by myself in the small reading nook, curled into the window seat, notebook open on my knees. I hadn't really written anything in a long time, but that night I had to. I needed to pour something out. The world around me didn't feel real anymore. "Maybe I'm being dramatic," I wrote, "but my instincts won't be quiet." Miles is keeping something from me about me. It's more than just a weird feeling. It's real. I can feel it in my bones. I shut the notebook and looked out the window. The skyline blinked, far away tall buildings standing like cold giants. Down below, cars kept driving as if everything was fine. But everything wasn't fine. And for the first time in our marriage, I didn't feel like I could talk to him about it. This wasn't just a broken heart. This felt like betrayal wrapped in a business deal, and I wasn't going to sit still while it all fell apart. That night, even with Miles right beside me, breathing calmly in his sleep, I couldn't rest. His words from the night before echoed in my mind. It's already in motion. By the time morning light touched the windows, I had made up my mind if I wanted answers. I had to stop pretending everything was fine. So I started where I'd never looked before: our money. Miles always handled the bills, the accounts, the investments. He liked to stay in charge. I let him, not because I was weak, but because I trusted him. We were a team, at least. That's what I used to think. I opened my laptop and logged into our shared bank account. My fingers shook as I typed the password. It still worked. It's a small win. Stop. But what I saw made my stomach turn. There were transfers, small ones at first. $5,000, then 10, then 25. All marked as investment shifts. Whatever that meant, none of the descriptions made sense to me. I looked deeper. Miles had sent money into something called NCR Ventures, SBACT. That name didn't match anything in our business records or investment groups. I opened a second tab and started digging. 3 hours passed. I was still in my robe, hair messy, heart racing. NCR Ventures wasn't just unknown, was suspicious. It looked like a fake company linked to offshore accounts. And one of the listed names jumped out at me. Victor Alenko. My breath caught. I'd seen that name before flashing on Miles's phone screen one night when he left it face down on the table. There had been a message. Funds transferred. She won't know until it's over. I felt cold all over. He wasn't just moving money. He was setting a trap. One that could leave me with nothing. I closed the laptop and pressed my hands against my face, trying to breathe. The room felt like it was spinning, not from movement, but from betrayal. This wasn't just bad behavior. It was a plan. And it had been going on for a while. Some small part of me still wanted to ask him, to walk into his office and say, why? But the version of me who trusted him without doubt, she was gone now. The woman who had just discovered a secret war being planned behind her back. She was in charge now, and she wasn't going down without a fight. That evening, when Miles walked through the front door, he smiled like usual. He leaned in to kiss my cheek. I didn't pull away. Tough day, he asked, kicking off his shoes. Just ran through. Some numbers, I replied calmly, even though my whole body felt like fire inside. He chuckled. Numbers. That's new. I smiled. Well, with all the investing we've done, I figured I should see where things stand. His eyes lingered on me for just a second too long. Right? He said slowly. Miles poured himself a glass of wine. His shoulders looked relaxed, but I noticed how tightly he held the glass stem. See anything interesting? He asked. Oh, it's just a few transfers I didn't recognize. Nothing big, I said, pausing. Ever heard of NCR Ventures or someone? Named Victor something. There it was. That tiny, almost invisible flinch dot. It was barely noticeable, but I saw it. That tiny flicker in his eyes, he covered it quickly. Oh, that. Just one of the property groups we're working with. Nothing serious. You never brought it up before? I said. He gave me a thin smile. Didn't think you'd care about the boring stuff. I nodded and took a sip of tea. My hands didn't shake anymore. Guess I care now. That night, I opened my journal again, but this time I didn't just write thoughts. I wrote a plan. He still thinks I'm clueless. That I'm not paying attention. That I'll sign whatever he puts in front of me. But he's wrong. He always underestimated me. And now that's going to cost him. The next morning, I got dressed on purpose. Not for him, not for anyone. For me, dark jeans, a simple shirt, soft wool coat, strongclean.com. I tied my hair up neatly, grabbed my phone, key, and called someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year. Maya Lin. She answered on the second ring. Nora. She said, surprised. Maya, I replied, voice tight. Are you still doing private asset protection? There was a pause. I am, she said. Good, I breathed. Because I think my husband's planning something and I need to be ready before he makes a move. Maya hadn't changed. Still smart, still calm. She was one of the best asset lawyers in the city, quiet strength in a blazer. We met at a quiet cafe in Lincoln Park. The kind. It's a place where people speak softly and secrets feel safe. She wore a navy jacket and gray pants, her dark hair pulled back, her eyes focused. After I told her everything, she looked at me and said, "You're already 2 steps ahead of him." I stirred my coffee. I don't feel like it. I still don't know his full plan. You don't have to, she said. You already know he's hiding money. You've seen the alias Victor. That's enough to act. I looked out the window. People passed by in coats and scarves, laughing like the world was normal. But mine had shifted beneath my feet. I never thought I'd be in this position. I whispered, "No one ever does," Maya said softly. But this is where smart choices matter more than emotions. You're not overthinking. You're not imagining things. And you are not ever going to let him take what's yours. Later that night, Miles was in the kitchen, cooking pasta. Jazz music played low in the background. A candle flickered on the table. Figured you could use something relaxing, said, handing me a glass of wine. I looked at him, really looked, and I felt something strange. Not love, not hate. Maybe just the shadow of who he used to be. Or maybe it was pity. You've been quiet, he said as we sat down. I smiled a little. Just tired. Work's been crazy. He twirled some spaghetti on his fork, trying not to look like he was watching me. You've been checking our accounts, asking questions. I raised the glass to my lips, but didn't drink. Is that a problem? I asked softly. He shrugged. Course not. I just thought you trusted me with that stuff. The words stung. I did. I said, but I realized I should probably understand it myself. The next morning, Maya called. It's time, she said. We're setting up a blind trust and a new holding company only in your name. You'll be the sole owner. Miles won't be able to touch any of it. I felt a wave of fear and strength crash together. It was like standing at the edge of a cliff. Everything. Ask. Everything, she said. The apartment, your investments, stocks, retirement plan, business shares. And we're doing it fast. I was alone in my office, staring at the ceiling. Let's do it, I said. The next few days flew by. Signing papers, notaries, encrypted files, quiet meetings. At home, I acted like nothing was happening. Morning coffee, little jokes, a kiss goodbye. But behind the scenes was building a wall between Miles and the money he thought was his dot. Every form I signed made me feel a little stronger by Thursday. It was finished. My name Monley. My name was now on everything we used to share. Miles, in every legal and financial way, had been completely removed. He walked into the kitchen, phone in hand, pretending to scroll through it. Leaning casually on the counter, he said, I was thinking maybe we should tidy things up, our accounts, the documents, combine stuff, just to be safe for the future. I looked him in the eye, calm, every muscle in my face, steady. I nodded. Slowly? That's smart, I said. Show me what you're thinking. His eyes blinked just once. I could tell he hadn't expected me to agree so easily. Yeah, sure, he replied. I'll put something together this weekend. Night, while he slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling. It was so quiet I could hear the pipes settling in the walls. The storm hadn't arrived yet, but the clouds were already dark. He thought I was still in love, still easy to trick, still sleeping, but I was wide awake. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Miles. Came home early, which wasn't like him. He hated slow Sundays, said they made him feel stuck. But this time, he walked in carrying a slim folder, his face fixed with that look he wore before pitching a business deal. Polished. But hollow, Nora, he said, sitting down across from me at the table. We need to talk. I folded the newspaper I wasn't really reading and met his eyes. My breathing was calm, my back straight. He placed the folder between us like it was just another agreement. I think we both know this isn't working, he started. We've grown apart. We want different things. I've been thinking for a while, and it's time I stayed silent. He opened the folder and slid a few typed pages toward me. I've already talked to a lawyer, he added. So we'll be clean. If we both agree now, we split everything, half and half. The condo, the investments, the shared accounts. I'd like some support just for a while until I get steady. You know how much I gave up to support your goals? I raised one eyebrow. That's the story you're going with? He hesitated. Just for a second. I want this to stay peaceful. I let the silence stretch, then slowly pushed the folder back toward him. There's something you should hear before we go any further. His jaw tightened. What? I already moved the assets, I said softly. They're legally protected. The apartment, the money, the stocks. You can't touch any of it now. He stared at me. His expression flickered like a dying light, first confused, then stunned, then furious. You, what? I didn't blink. You're not getting half. I said, you're not getting anything. His mask broke. The rage surfaced, fast and sharp. You've been planning this, he snapped, voice tight and dangerous. I've been protecting myself, I said, from you. He stood quickly and walked away from the table, his hands on his hips, breath heavy. Then he turned back, eyes blazing. You think you can do this to me? I already did. He went to the counter, gripping the edge hard enough to turn his knuckles pale. You went through my accounts, hired a lawyer behind my back, spied on me. No, I said. I listened. And followed the trail you left. He let out a bitter laugh. You ruined everything. No, I replied calmly. I just didn't let you ruin me. That night, he barely said a word. The silence in the house felt sharp like broken glass. I locked the bedroom door before sleeping. At 2:17 a.m., I woke to the glow of his phone lighting the hallway. I peeked through the crack and saw him standing by the window, typing fast. I crept closer and caught the end of his message. Victor Sheen knows. We need to move fast. Clean it up. No trace. My breath stopped. It was real. Everything Maya and I suspected was true. Miles wasn't just hiding money, he was laundering it. And Victor Alenko, he wasn't any kind of financial planner. He was a fixer. A man paid to erase trails and build fake ones. But they were too late. I had already built the wall. The next morning, Miles acted like nothing had happened. He poured coffee, asked if I wanted eggs. I turned down both. We moved around each other like strangers. But the truth was, I wasn't scared anymore. The power had shifted. That afternoon, Maya called with news. We ran Victor's financials. She said, his name shows up on at least 2 fake companies linked to Miles's accounts. I'm sending it to our forensic accountant now. Once we match the dates, we'll have proof. Real proof. I stared out the window. The city blurred into shapes and light. Do it, I said. That evening, Miles tried one last time. He sat on the edge of the bed, his voice suddenly soft. Nora, he said, we don't have to do this the hard way. We loved each other once. Don't throw that away. The nerve of him made my stomach twist. I turned to face him, not angry. Just empty. You threw it away, I said, when you started planning your exit without telling me. When you paid someone to cover your trail. When you tried to take what I built. His eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're getting into. I tilted my head. Then explain it to me. But he didn't. He just stood up and walked out. And I knew whatever happened next wouldn't be peaceful. It would be war. By Tuesday, I felt the shift. It was small at first. Coworkers stopping conversations when I walked in. Awkward glances. That lasted a little too long. Sudden quiet when Slack notifications pinged. I brushed it off, till Rachel, my assistant of 4 years, stepped into my office holding a stack of printed pages. "Nora," she said softly, closing the door behind her. "I think you need to see this." She laid the papers on my desk. The headline on the first printout made my mouth go dry. Top female CFO hiding money during divorce, embezzlement rumors swirl. Anyone looked into Campbell Properties. It was from an anonymous finance forum. No name, no proof, just whispers. Dozens of comments followed. Some questioning, others cruel. But one post stood out. "I know who it is, Nora Campbell. Word is, she's been hiding millions in secret trusts." My throat tightened. My hand shook. There were screenshots mentioning offshore accounts. Illegal transfers even, a claim that I was setting up Miles. I looked at Rachel. "This is Miles," I said, flat. "He's trying to destroy my name before I can stop him." Rachel's face was pale. "If this spreads, it could hurt the company. Investors will panic. The board might ask questions." I closed my eyes. Anger built in my chest, but underneath, it was something colder. Miles didn't just want to win, he wanted to erase me too. Paint me as unstable, dishonest, a jealous wife spiraling out of control. He wanted me to react, to explode, to post back, to fall apart in front of the world. But what he forgot was, don't react, I respond. With strategy, with proof. That night, I met Maya at her office. She already had a folder open and a yellow notepad filled with notes. "I saw the post," she said. "Our cybersecurity team traced the upload. The IP address was masked, but it leads to a temporary internet connection near Miles's downtown office." "Can we prove it?" I asked. "Not yet, but we don't need to. Not for this step." She handed me a letter. A cease and desist notice. If he posts anything else, we file for defamation. I've already written it. He keeps pushing, we go to court, and then we bring in Victor too. I nodded slowly, my jaw tight. He wants to wreck my reputation. I said, but he forgot I built it from stone. 3 days later, Maya's forensic expert called. "You'll want to sit down for this," he said. I didn't. I stood at the window, looking out at the lake. He continued. "We reviewed the documents Miles submitted in his case. They're fake and not even done well." "How bad?" I asked. "Bad," he said. "They show transfers from you to Victor's fake account dated April 12th, but your trust wasn't. Opened until July. Worse, the signature. Forged and not even close to yours." A slow breath left my chest. He just handed us everything. That night, I sat in my living room sipping bourbon. The table in front of me was covered in papers, each one a lie, each one now evidence. Miles had tried to weaponize every sheet. Now, those same pages were turning into the wall around his own downfall. The silence in my home felt powerful. No footsteps in the hallway, no secret texts, just me. And the truth. Text messages from Victor kept lighting up the phone I no longer cared to check. It was just me now. And the plan, the next morning, Maya filed the countersuit. We weren't just asking the court to throw out Miles's case. We were suing him for defamation, fraud, and intentional damage to both my career and personal reputation. The language in the documents was sharp. Careful. Defendant Miles Campbell, with help from known associate Victor Alenko, submitted fake financial documents in an attempt to fool the court and sway public opinion. As a result, Ms. Nora Campbell suffered real harm to her career and reputation. We also asked for damages for discovery. Because now it wasn't just about defending myself. It was about revealing the truth. That night, just past midnight, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I waited a second, then answered. A low voice crackled on the line. Rough, familiar. "So, you think you've won, huh?" I didn't even blink. "Hello, Miles. I saw your little lawsuit," he hissed. "You'll regret this." I smiled into the quiet. "You're nervous, Miles, and panic doesn't suit you. You have no idea who you're dealing with." "No," I said gently, "you don't." Then I ended the call and blocked him. For good. The courtroom felt cold not in temperature, but in spirit. Shiny wooden walls, footsteps echoing. Low voices murmuring like a storm about to break. I sat straight in my seat, hands folded, eyes fixed on Miles across the room. He wore that navy suit he always wore to big business meetings. But his shoulders were stiff. He kept pulling at his cuffs, eyes darting everywhere except at me. Then the judge walked in. "Are all parties present?" he asked. Maya stood. "Yes, Your Honor." And the trial began. It felt like watching a show I already knew the ending. Miles's lawyer tried hard to create doubt, to make it sound like all of this was just confusion. But then Maya stood up. "Your Honor," she said, handing the judge a folder. "These documents include timestamps that prove the defendant's claims are false. The financial trust Ms. Campbell opened was created in July, but the wire transfers he listed, they're dated April and May." The judge raised his brows and flipped through the papers. "This account wasn't open until July," he said slowly. "But Mr. Campbell shows transfers from months earlier as proof." A quiet murmur moved through the courtroom. I glanced at Miles. He didn't say a word, but I saw it. The jaw clenching, hands twitching. Then the judge spoke again, voice calm, bit sharp. "This shows that the evidence submitted by Mr. Campbell and Mr. Alenko was fabricated. This is not just grounds to dismiss the case, it calls for legal investigation." Maya let out a small breath. I stayed still, watching Miles fall apart. The judge continued. "Because of the forged evidence, all of Mr. Campbell's claims are dismissed. He must also pay Ms. Campbell's legal fees. In addition, this matter will be passed to the state attorney for possible criminal charges." The gavel hit the bench. Court is adjourned. Outside, the cameras waited. Reporters yelled my name. Flashes popped. I walked past them, calm, silent, untouched. Miles followed behind me. His shoulders sagged. He looked smaller, like someone wearing a suit that didn't fit anymore. I didn't look back, but I could feel his eyes on me. At the top of the courthouse steps, I paused, took a deep breath, but the cold air hit my face. It felt clean, clear, free. A week later, everything started to crumble for him. Whispers turned into headlines. Investors backed out of Miles's businesses. Victor vanished. His name blacklisted across multiple states. Miles's firm dropped him. His assets were frozen under legal review. He sold his Porsche, then his artwork, then the penthouse, and all while the internet did what it does best. It found the truth. And it tore his lies apart. As his perfect image crumbled, I went back to my apartment, to the lake view I'd always loved, to a kind of stillness that finally felt like peace, not loneliness. Wrapped in a blanket with a book in my lap and my phone turned off, I poured myself a glass of wine. For the first time in a long while, I didn't crave answers, apologies, or closure. I had all of that the moment the judge's gavel struck wood. The next evening, Maya dropped by with a bottle of champagne and a smile so wide it almost split her face. "To you," she said, raising her glass, "for knowing exactly when to stay silent, when to strike like thunder." I laughed, truly laughed, for the first time in what felt like forever. "To surviving," I replied, tapping my glass against hers, "and to never underestimating a woman with a strategy." Later that night, as the city glowed beneath my balcony, my phone buzzed one last time. Blocked number. I didn't pick up, but a voicemail landed seconds later. His voice quiet, bitter, and cracked. "This isn't over." There was no threat behind it, only panic. Only loss. I deleted the message and blocked the number for the last time. I've thought about it. What I could have done differently. The red flags I ignored. The nights I curled next to a man who had already left me in every way that counted. But regret is just another way grief tries to stay alive. And I've done enough grieving. Now I live. I travel. I reinvest. Okay. I spend time mentoring women who believe betrayal won't happen to them who think love is a shield. I never tell them not to love. I teach them how to protect themselves, because strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build brick by brick, choice by choice. Sometimes walking away isn't the hardest part. Sometimes it's walking away wiser. Walking away with your dignity intact. Miles wasn't just a man who wanted more. He was a man who believed he deserved more. He thought he could take what he didn't earn because he was entitled to it. That belief, the idea that some people can manipulate, erase, and steal because they think they're better. That's not just toxic. It's dangerous, and it shows. Up everywhere in relationships, in boardrooms, even in courtrooms. Nora's story isn't just about survival. It's about strength, justice, and finally, freedom. So here's the truth. Setting boundaries isn't betrayal. Standing your ground isn't cold, it's brave. So now ask yourself, what would you have done in her place? And how many more women are living this same story right now behind closed doors? If this story stirred something in you, gave you strength, or simply made you stop and think, don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it, subscribe, because someone out there needs this story. And the next one. This might just be yours. We'll see you soon.